For the past 60 days, I've been playing a new Marvel Snap account as a free-to-play player, progressing through the collection and game as quickly and efficiently as I possibly could. During the first 30 days, we made great progress to reach Infinite, start Series 3, and more, which we covered in the last video. And this video is going to be picking up from day 31. And we have some major progress and some incredibly wild games to look forward to. For having started into Series 3, we still had this season's rotating free Series 3 card to unlock, so we were keeping an eye out for impactful cards that brought us the closest to finishing a powerful deck. And that's when we spotted Magic. Magic had recently been buffed and showed overall really strong performance, and we previously pulled She-Hulk, which meant we were really close to a She-Not deck. So we went ahead and pulled the trigger on Magic, unlocking her as our free Series 3 for this season. We threw together a semi-cohesive She-Not deck, and I was excited to try a new deck other than the Wong deck that we had been riding for the last couple of weeks. And the first game went like this. And the next couple of games didn't go great either. But even with the losses, we completed our missions early, so we switched the focus to complete the season mission, which was Destroyed. We didn't unlock any new cards today, but we did reach our third Spotlight cache. Snap was working on officially launching their widescreen PC client, and with that came several codes for free currency. The first of many was a redeemable code for 500 credits. And in addition to this, the weekend missions were now active, and this week the one to get credits was for using Mr. Negative instead of just flat wins, but luckily we had already unlocked Mr. Negative, so we were able to start working on the missions. I used the She-Not deck for the first half of the day and then switched to Wong plus Negative, using Mr. Negative as a burner card to finish off the day. We didn't unlock any new cards today, and as we get further into Series 3, especially once we get past collection level 1000, this will become more and more common. However, we do have the Series 4 and 5 cards just around the corner to help make up for the fewer Series 3 pulls that we're going to be getting. For day 33, we finished the negative missions and the Season Pass Week 2 for a decent boost in credits. We reached a limit on progress with no available extra boosters, and so this means we'll need to hit Conquest pretty hard this month to make sure we have plenty of medals to exchange for plenty of additional boosters. We got 2 new card unlocks today with Ghost Rider and Thor, neither being immediately useful, but they're nice cards and resources to have in the collection. The next day we started focusing on Conquest. We started with a gold run and then Proving Grounds to complete our remaining daily missions. We were saving our gold for the weekly refresh tomorrow, as it's still going to be the most consistent way for us to progress the account more quickly in the early game while we're missing several key Series 3 resources. We were only able to open one additional reserve as we were locked on boosters, so tomorrow should be a decent bump with Conquest opening the next tier of rewards for the 155 boosters. And we've started losing a little bit more and more often with the Wong deck as our opponents and the meta shifts, so it's time to start looking for key pieces for a new powerhouse deck, depending on what Series 3 resources we end up getting. And so with the next day was a new week, means the mission resets, and I love the little surges in progress that these give. X23 was released in the Spotlight Reserves today, and I think in the long run, she's going to be a staple in Destroy decks, and the other possible cards that you can pull with her were incredible, so I decided to go ahead and use our first Spotlight caches. The first pull ended up being a mystery card, and we pulled Legion. Legion is an amazing card with the great power and utility to steal games back in his favor by changing key locations that the opponent are going to be relying on. So with our second cache, we do end up pulling X23, and I do want to have both Nebula and Silk in the collection, but I also want to prioritize getting as many new release cards as we possibly can, because they do give a small token reward on the weekends, so the more new cards that I can get, the more tokens in return equals more cards overall. I threw together an X23 homebrew that was probably pretty bad, but we did manage to win a Silver Conquest run as most people were trying to run X23 with Nimrod. And we ended up losing the second silver match, but we were able to finish our daily missions, and we completed 2 mission resets with gold, bumping us up to 10 completed missions for the day. And with a new week means the Conquest shop unlocks the next tier of rewards, so we spent some medals on the credits plus the boosters to at least get a little bit of momentum and get unbooster locked for a moment. Next week is when we'll be able to get a huge booster surge after the Infinite Conquest opens, so we just need to be able to hold out until then. With the collection level jump with the boosters that we gained, we unlocked 2 new cards, Kingpin and Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is kind of in a really relevant state right now. She'd be great with a Silk/Kraven, which was the top performing deck at the time, but I'm going to hold off on using any additional spotlights for now. We're nearing in on the next spotlight, which will bring us back up to 2 in reserve, and I'm hoping to hit 3 by next week. Starting day 36, both Gamescom and Twitch drops were enabled and achieved for the PC client release. This gave us a huge boost in credits, boosters, and a new Series 3 cards through the variant unlocked, Spider-Man. We pulled all 3 Twitch drops today and the Devil Dino variant, and using the big boost to boosters and credits, we jumped from collection level 940 up to 978. And along with that, we unlocked the next Spotlight, with plenty of the week to go to get a third by the start of next week. And using our extra gold from the weekly mission to reset missions further, we reached 18 out of 25 completed, and we should see another pretty decent surge tomorrow with the weekly reward credits. Starting the next day is the start of the PC launch login bonus, which today granted 200 gold. We used 1 mission reset to finish off the weekly missions, and then I wanted to save the rest for the start of next week. The games with Wong were a pretty big struggle, and they were often a toss-up. We were no longer dominating our opponents, but instead having to get lucky or rely on a coin flip at the end to win. So having unlocked Legion, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man now, I decided to go ahead and use 1 more Spotlight cache to try for either Silk or Nebula, because both were in an incredibly strong spot right now. And using 1 additional Spotlight, we do end up pulling Silk. We leave Nebula for now. We did unlock 2 additional new cards today in Gambit and Luke Cage. Both can potentially serve purposes in future decks. And we were able to reach collection level 1000, which means the caches turn into reserves, and that unfortunately is going to mean less frequent Series 3 pulls. Series 3 cards will now be available in blocks of 9. Within the blocks, we can pull 2 Series 3 cards, and then once we pull those, we won't be able to pull any more cards until we finish off that block of 9. So if we get lucky and pull the 2 cards in the first 2 caches of the block of 9, the next 7 have 0 chance of being any kind of new card. We're still a couple of pieces away from making the strongest deck in the Craven Silk movement, but we are very, very close now. At this point, we're starting to see very high collection level decks, even in Proving Grounds and Silver Conquest, so we're seeing Silk Craven and other meta monsters. We played today to complete the missions. The daily reward for the login bonus was Dino Boosters, and now we have plenty of boosters to play around with and are just locked by credits again. And we are only able to gain about 12 collection level in progress for the day. The next day, we had caught wind of a sponsored stream code that we were able to use to claim an additional 250 credits, and then the daily login was a cosmetic item. The weekend missions are now active and granting 300 tokens for X23 and a huge 500 credits for Dino wins. We started out losing for the first 30 minutes straight. Slow players, misreads, just all around a really tough start. By 30 minutes in, I had managed only 1 win with X23. It took 40 minutes to finish off the X23 mission for 300 tokens, or 30% of a new Series 3 card if we choose to use it for that. And we finished off the day using a Dino deck for the weekend quest, and we were able to get 3 out of the 10 wins needed for the credits. So we spent all of our credits from the day, and we barely reached 1 box, and it was a title. Today's login reward was 500 credits, which will help us jump a decent amount when we use them. And we were able to finish completing all daily and weekend missions using the Dino deck for an additional 500 credits. And so we're going to get a pretty good jump in our collection level today. We ended up with 400 credits remaining and no upgradable cards. We were able to pull 1 new Series 3 card in Falcon from the reserves. And since we're nearing the end of the season, we have 1 available season mission to complete, but I think we'll be able to complete that more naturally later on with a deck that we'll be running anyways. And so we're going to hold off on it for now. The start of the next Gold Conquest run was pretty disappointing, with a Destroy player outplaying us every single round. We had ways to win, it just came down to gut reads, and our gut was wrong today. After that, the day started picking up slowly but surely, and we were able to grab some wins. Not bad results overall for using the Dino deck, and we were able to finish our last daily mission with the X23 deck. We were able to reach our next Spotlight, giving us 2 to start next week. And the next day, we were welcomed with 500 gold from the daily login, plus the weekly reset, plus Infinite Conquest opening. This was going to be a good day. And speaking of it being a good day, Kitty Pryde is a card that is in just about every top competitive deck right now. So even though this week we aren't necessarily pushing for the new card, and we only have 2 caches, I think we're going to risk it to try to pull Kitty Pryde, because we have the rest of the week to get at least 1 additional Spotlight to get another chance if we don't pull her in these first 2, and she will be a big enough upgrade that I think it's going to be a risk that we're willing to take. So we open up our first one, and it ends up being Echo. Could have been better, but it also could have been worse. And so then we were set to use our last saved spotlight, knowing that it'll take an extra couple days to get another one if we don't pull her now. And we do end up getting Kitty Pryde, which means we are a lot stronger now. We are now the meta monster. We don't have every single piece, but we are close enough that we can create the meta deck. We spent all of our remaining gold on daily refreshes. We completed a gold conquest run and jumped straight into infinite, and we were able to beat some really strong decks. The Silk Kitty Pryde Legion deck, I don't know if I said this, but this was a huge upgrade, possibly the biggest upgrade in power since we moved from Series 2 into Series 3 and unlocked Wong. That is how much we jumped in power, jumping from Wong to Silk Craven Kitty Pryde. And so in an Infinite Conquest run, we were able to beat a Silk deck, a Destroy deck, and a Brood Absorbing Man buff deck, and we decided to call it a day after our third win. After everything was cashed in, all of our missions were claimed, we had 3,425 credits to spend, so we spent our Conquest medals on 4 sets of 155 boosters, and I think we are finally probably set for a little while. We were collection level 1,094 before upgrading, and then after we upgraded, we jumped up to 1,185 for almost a 100 collection level gain today, which is just an absurd jump for a single day. We were able to unlock 2 new cards from that collection level jump in Arrow and Cerebro. Both are pretty situational, but progress is progress. We spent all of our credits for the day and we used a little bit over 2 of the 4 155 boosters that we bought. And tomorrow with the weekly mission gold, we should be able to finish off the weekly missions for another decent boost in collection. Jumping into day 43, it was the last day of the login rewards and we got a premium mystery variant, which could be even a 1,200 gold. All right, we'll move on. We lost in Infinite to a bad read on one round. The game started out great, but the misplay took what would have been a win into an eventual very painful loss. So we decided to brush it off and we jumped straight back into the Infinite Conquest and won the first 2 rounds pretty quickly. We finished the last daily mission off on the ladder, and I spent about 1,700 credits today and jumped another pretty significant amount in collection level, but today, unfortunately, there were no new cards. We did, however, reach the next Spotlight cache, giving us 1 in the reserve, but we're going to be saving it for now. And jumping into day number 44 of our account journey, just a little bit shy of a month and a half since the account was created, we started off with our focus on the Infinite Conquest. We won the 4th round pretty easily, but the 5th round was really tough. I want you to take a look at the board state from our 5th round match. Are you able to find the correct play in this situation? It came down to an 8-cube winner-take-all call. So were we able to get the read correct? We were. We have now conquered the ladder and Conquest, so now it's time to conquer the collection. We created a discard deck to finish the season missions. We jumped 6 season pass levels today to reach 55, and we were able to pull 100 credits, 50 gold, and a variant, which is pretty nice for the free rewards post level 50 from the season pass. And we were struggling to finish the last daily mission today, so we ended up using the retreat method to complete it pretty easily. So as long as you are past round 3, if you retreat while a mission's criteria are met, you will be credited with the mission progress, which is exactly what we had to do today. No new cards today, but we had the huge milestone knocked off for the account in the Infinite Conquest. And so with the Infinite Conquest out of the way, I took an easy day jumping into a gold run. We won the first battle and were left with 2 daily missions. So I decided to jump on ladder, and we actually struggled to complete the last one, which was win a lane with 20 or more power because the opponents kept retreating. Eventually we were able to complete it, and we used all of our credits, but still no pull 3 cards. It's been almost 100 collection level since we pulled our last Series 3 card. Since it had been so long, I decided to count how many reserves we had opened without a new card, and with the groups being in 9, it should mean that we should be able to open several close together very soon. Jumping into the next day, the weekend missions opened up. The credit mission for this weekend was get wins using Wolverine, and so we started by finishing off the gold run using our meta monster deck, and during that run we finished all but 2 of the dailies, and so we jumped on ladder to finish up the remaining 2. In the first ladder match, I saw an opportunity to retreat and complete the win 1 location with 1 card, so we did decide to take it. Next, we finished off the seasonal missions and were able to jump up to season pass level 63, which granted several additional season caches. We got around 350 credits and some additional boosters, which is not bad for free rewards at all. I was curious exactly where my groupings of 9 started and stopped, and we found out that since I have a fresh account, my group starts on the 3rd reserve after each spotlight cache. So today we have a 2 out of 7 chance to pull at least one card. And we end up pulling Valkyrie, a decent card, but also very niche. The next card is guaranteed within the next 5 boxes, which does give us some comfort as we continue pushing along the collection level. The Series 3 collection at this point does feel much worse post 1000 than it did leading up to 1000. However, the caveat to that is we do have spotlights to be able to focus on pulling the newest cards in the game, which does help bridge the gap between Season 3 unlocks quite substantially. On day 47, we finished all of our dailies in the first gold match, which took around 20 minutes. So I spent the remaining 40 minutes of our day trying to get any wins that we could with Wolverine so that we could complete the weekend mission and get some additional credits, and we got absolutely shut down. Eventually, I decided to switch Wolverine into the Silk build that we had been using, but we still got absolutely slapped. I decided to quit after getting only 2 wins in the 40 minutes that we tried, and we used our daily credits and opened reserve number 5 out of 9 for the grouping, but no new card today. Jumping into day 48, it took all day to get the remaining wins that we needed for the Wolverine weekend mission, unfortunately. We were 3 collection level away from the next cache. We had 5 remaining gold tickets that were going to be converted into boosters because we just didn't have time to utilize them all. I spent all of our remaining medals for the 65 booster reward, not the 155, as this month that reward had a better cost ratio for some odd reason. And it's the last day of the season, so tomorrow we're going to be unlocking new ladder rewards, weekly missions, and much more. We're right on the cusp of one of the craziest experiences and probably the most tilting experience that I've had on any Marvel Snap account, and it will come with the newest season reset. And so it is the season reset time, and that means it's time to focus on ladder and ranked mode to unlock a lot of the rewards rather quickly. The spotlight caches for this week have some pretty good cards, but since there are no brand new cards in them, I think we're just going to skip. And yes, I know that means missing Jeff. He's a great card, but I don't think he's going to be the deciding factor or that powerhouse unit that makes or breaks a deck like Kitty Pryde is going to be, and he also doesn't give us any chance to earn any additional tokens back, which in turn will help progress our account even faster, and so he is going to be a skip for this week. Now that the rotating free Series 3 shop is back with the new season, a few of the cards that I'm looking for primarily is going to be Taskmaster. This is the last thing that we'll need for a great Kitty Pryde deck, or a couple of the other things we're looking for are possibly Silver Surfer, Venom, or even Wave for once Mobius is released later on in the month. Taskmaster, however, is priority number 1. We had a decent start to the day with the focus being on ladder to hit infinite as quickly as possible, and we started the season off right with 2 Series 3 card pulls. The first one being Black Panther, which is going to be nice for a Wong on reveal if we ever go back to it. And then we also got Colleen Wing. She's going to be a great swarm/target discard, but right now we're probably not going to use her all that much. Pulling Colleen Wing was a 2 out of 9 chance, and so now we have 8 more reserves in the group with only 1 Series 3 card chance, and so we may go dry for a little while before seeing another Series 3 card unlock. On day 50, the ladder grind continues. We have a few easy games, but also a few really hard ones, and we had a few BMers as well. All things aside, we were able to climb up to 94, so no day 2 infinite this season, but we still made pretty good progress. With all of the rewards and the season pass unlocks that we got, we had another decent jump in collection, and we were able to open 2 additional reserves. Within these additional reserves, we had a 2 out of 8 chance to pull a new card, and so I wasn't really expecting much, and we were able to pull Red Skull. And so now I think it is time to double down on watching the rotating free shop for a potential Taskmaster unlock. I'm glad we pulled him, but I'm also a little bit sad because now we're not going to be seeing another Series 3 card for the next 6 reserves, also known as 72 collection level or something like 3,400 credits. We started the next day climbing on ladder, and we were able to make a little bit of progress, but this season we're running into almost no bots, and so we were losing a little bit more often than we normally do, and so it did take a little bit longer. We had a couple of bad beats. We dropped down to 92 after a lot of up and down all day long, and so I decided to switch back to an on reveal deck for the time being. On day 52, we logged in, ready to climb, ready to start the day off right, and we lost 8 cubes. We played a few more rounds with on reveal and lost each one, so we switched back to the Legion move deck. And today, after doing the math, I realized that Series 3 was more of a bottleneck for us than Series 4 and 5 due to the groupings of 9 reserves. The remaining 50 or so Series 3 cards that we needed would grant us about 25 Series 4 or Series 5 cards if we didn't pull any duplicate or variants on our Series 4 and 5 cards. So we decided to do something kind of impulsive. And you may not necessarily agree with this decision, but for me, the biggest part of building a lot of good decks, having a variety of decks, is having a lot of those key Series 3 resources, and then we can use our Spotlight caches to focus on anything that's missing to complete big meta monster decks. And so I had been sitting on our collector tokens since we hit collection level 500, and I never really felt like I had a must-use target for them. So we did end up using them to help progress our Series 3 progress, hoping it would give us some more key resources along the way, so that we could make a wider variety of decks in case the meta shifts and changes at any point. From our tokens, we were able to unlock Invisible Woman, Debris, Black Cat, and Sarah. So we had some pretty good resources here, nothing that we were going to immediately use, but I could see using each of them respectively at some point or another. And then after that, luckily we got placed into much easier matches for the rest of the day. Jumping into day number 53, the weekend missions are here, and this week we can actually get the tokens even though there was no new card. So we continued pushing towards Infinite with the games going pretty well. We faced a player who snap question mark emoted us, so we did end up snapping back and we won. It feels awful to lose those, but man does it feel good whenever you can win one. Our last game to reach Infinite was against a Galactus emote spammer. Unfortunately, that's just the state of the ladder right now. I don't know why. It just is what it is. So we stayed on a pretty particular Shang-Chi read on the last turn, and we were able to hit the 8 cubes that we needed to push us over the edge, allowing us to reach Infinite. And one of the changes that they made this season post-Infinite was that instead of rankings where you go from 100 to 101, 102, like we had previously, there is now a snap point system, or kind of loosely based on your overall MMR, and you can see your overall ranking compared to everybody else that hit Infinite this season. And we started with 7,690 snap points, and we're currently ranked 5,051, and we were only 1,000 snap points behind my main account after only 2 months as a free-to-play player. And so we jumped into Conquest for the first time this season to finish off our last daily mission because I wanted to conserve my snap points wherever possible. We upgraded cards and were able to reach our 3rd saved Spotlight cache, and Jeff is incredibly great, but I would rather save for brand new cards so that we can get the tokens each week to continue to help further my Series 3 collection and give access to the newest cards. So we do skip the baby land shark this time around. So jumping into day 54, we enjoyed a little bit of post-Infinite with some Proving Ground Conquest queues, but the Conquest queues were incredibly long. We did finish 5 of our 6 daily missions there and decided to finish off the last one on the ladder. And this is where some of the tilting starts happening. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it is very, very close. And so we jumped into our first post-Infinite ladder match, and we were able to beat a Loki deck. And Loki is very, very prevalent right now. He is a monster. He is a thing of my nightmares. We were able to beat him with Wong, and so Wong is strong, sometimes. With a 2-cube victory, we jumped 41 snap points, and we almost broke the top 5,000. And so to put this into perspective, my main accounts typically only gain about 4 to 6 snap points from a 2-cube victory. So this progress and most likely demotion will be swinging so much more heavily than my more seasoned accounts. We finished off the weekend mission for 300 tokens, and we used those to unlock one more Series 3 card in Drax. Well, at least he's out of the rotation and pool of remaining cards. Our next reserve is starting a new group of 9, and so all of the rewards will have been refreshed, and we can start possibly pulling Series 3 cards once again. And so day 55, we started the day at rank 6,000 post-Infinite, and I decided to try my luck at some ladder instead of Conquest, and this is where things start going south pretty quickly. Since we had enough boosters, I decided to not sweat Conquest too hard this season, and early on in our ladder matches, we matched against the rank 800 player, and we were able to hold it down for a win. And then a few games later, we matched against rank 53, and surprisingly, we were able to win that one as well. And then a top 500 and a win. And so we climbed to top 2,996 today, and with that, I decided to claim a new goal for the account, not only to complete Series 3, but to reach the highest rank we possibly could by day 100. Ending the day, we were 25 credits away from our next cache, and with the weekly reset tomorrow, we might get lucky and pull 2 Series 3 cards once we restart our grouping. And so wins are giving way more snap points than on my other accounts, but the losses are also taking way more as well. And so right now it's going in our favor, but very soon it will lead to one of the most tilting snap sessions I've ever had. Jumping into day 56, Alioth was released, and so we do need to watch out for both Galactus and Destroy today, both of which I think are going to be the early common choices to slot Alioth into. Our first opponent is somebody that we match against on our main account, and he happens to be running Galactus. The second match is against the rank 85 player, who I've also faced on both of my collection level 10,000 plus accounts this season, and we lost the second match, and just like that, we are down 120 snap points in 2 games. Queuing up for the next match, we get our third big loss in a row for another 114 snap point loss. Oof. These gains and losses are such a huge roller coaster, and it makes each loss feel so terrible. Yesterday we couldn't lose, and today we just can't win. Our fourth match is against someone that is just over rank 100. He hit Phoenix Force on 4, and we weren't running a Shang-Chi to counter, and so just like that, we are 0-4 to start the day. We went from rank 3,000 to rank 6,000. What is this? And the bad news is it doesn't stop there. You remember when I said I had one of the most tilting snap sessions ever? Well, the next game we lost was an 8-cube wager, and we lost 242 snap points in one singular game. That would take hours and hours to gain on a main account, and we lost it in a single match. We went from rank 3,000 to 9,000 in record time. After that, we were able to steal our first win of the day thanks to Legion, which gave us 4 cubes for 70 snap points recovered, and then we ran into one of the top ranked tournament players, W. Yeah, I think we need to leave the ladder. We're going to finish today's missions on the ladder, and then I think we probably need to focus on Conquest for a little while. And then we are able to climb back up to rank 6,000 for one of the most wild rides from yesterday to today. And then we went right back down to almost 10,000 ranked while finishing up our daily missions. And so we finished just under rank 9,000. We used all of our available credits and were able to pull Bass from a cache before exiting Snap the fastest I ever have in my entire life. Starting the next day, I didn't learn my lesson, or I'm a masochist, I don't know. We jumped into ladder, and our first match is against current rank 27 in standings, and we were able to win. We did lose the next two to top 500 players and went down to rank 14 for a net negative of 4,000 ranks today. The high variance of these games with the ranking in place is really making me dread trying to complete any of my dailies anywhere else but Conquest. But the problem is, most of the Conquest queues are incredibly long. And we were able to win an 8-cube match to climb to rank 9,000, cutting off 4,000 ranks in one single match. These games are making me sick to my stomach, you guys. And then again, we matched with a rank 27 and a Loki deck where we won for another 2, and I'm gonna be done for the day. We went from 10,000 to 8,000 to 14,000 and then back to 8,000 ranked. It's just too much. We opened our next cache and we were able to pull Deadpool, which is going to be great alongside our X-23. And so if we can grab Venom and maybe a Null, maybe an Arnim Zola, we're going to have ourselves a pretty nice Destroy deck. And so that's both of the Series 3 cards in our first 4 reserves of this group of 9. So the next 5 are going to be guaranteed to not have anything to unlock for us. On day 58, we started out running Proving Grounds and we won easily, thankfully. And we completed 4 out of the 6 daily missions. We ran the rest on the ladder, and we were able to beat rank 100 and an unranked player, which means they're rank 5,000 or higher. We cashed in all of our credits, knowing that we won't get another chance at a Series 3 card until around collection level 1600. We opened our caches for additional credits and an avatar. Going into day 59, we started the day in Conquest. We had an easy Silver Conquest win, granting us our first gold ticket this season. And we finished 3 out of the 6 missions on the Conquest run and decided to move back to ladder. Our first match was against a rank 587 player, and they pulled Null out of nowhere for the win, and we lost 1,000 rank in that one match. We matched against rank 488 next, and we were able to beat him with the Legion lock thankfully. And then the next match was an 8-cube win for 130 snap point gain, moving us up over 2,000 ranks. And then we match against rank 63, and we were able to make him retreat. This back and forth is just sickening. I can't deal with it, you guys. The last daily mission is a win a location with one card, and so I headed into Conquest to do the retreat cheese whenever we saw an opportunity. We were able to reach our 4th saved spotlight cache, we finished off all of our dailies, and I decided to go ahead and open up spotlights until we pulled the newly released alioth. I won't be able to make a lot of use out of alioth right away, but I think in the long run, it's going to be a good card to have, plus the weekend mission will give tokens back for using the card, and so we started opening up our spotlights. The first one we ended up pulling Snowguard, which is in for a buff and then a subsequent nerf really soon, but as of right now, he is unusable. And then from the second spotlight, we do pull alioth. Now, if we had been unlucky and had to use all of our spotlights this week, I'd be okay missing Ravona versus missing alioth. I think alioth is going to have a much longer mainstay place in the meta compared to Ravona. And so jumping into the last day of the segment, the alioth weekend missions for 200 credits open up, and the additional mission for this week gives gold versus credits. And so we start the day jumping into Gold Conquest. All of the tiers of Conquest have been so much easier compared to Ladder. Like, so much easier. We won the first match and the second match, and we're able to finish all of our daily missions. We now have 120 gold stored up, and I'll likely eventually use this either as a flat credit purchase or on mission refreshes. But we aren't missing any huge priority Series 3 cards at the moment, and we have a few spotlights stored up, so I think it's going to be a good idea to save them either for a rainy day or in case a good value bundle happens to cross our path. We jumped up to collection level 1,597, and we were able to finish off the group of 9 reserves, and so starting with the next one, we can finally start potentially pulling Series 3 cards again. We have 2 spotlights stored for future cards, and we currently have 44 out of the 99 Series 3 cards in the game, aka 44% Series 3 complete, and we do have 1 free unlock in the rotating shop when we end up finding a good resource for it. And we also have 7 out of the 36 current Series 4 and Series 5 cards, so we're 19% for our Series 4 and Series 5 completion, and we have 2 cards stored up in our Spotlight reserves. We made some amazing progress during the first 60 days of this account, but the journey is not over yet. The next update in the series is going to be our finale at day number 100, and at that time we'll see just how close we can come to completing Series 3 and Series 4 and 5, and how high in rank we can climb during the next season, all while trying to keep up with the strong meta decks like Loki or any future monsters that the game has in store.